As the evening descended upon the school, casting long shadows that stretched across the empty hallways, my friends and I eagerly made plans to spend the remainder of the night in the nearby park. The prospect of escaping the confines of the school grounds filled us with excitement, and we quickly gathered our belongings before heading out into the cool night air. Stepping outside, the chill of the evening enveloped us, and a light mist hung in the air, swirling around us like tendrils of ghostly fingers. The streets were deserted, bathed in the soft glow of the street lamps that flickered ominously in the darkness. Despite the eerie atmosphere, we pressed on, our laughter echoing through the empty streets as we made our way to the park. Upon our arrival, the park appeared deserted, the trees standing silent sentinels in the pale moonlight. But as we ventured deeper into its depths, a sense of unease settled over us, like a heavy weight pressing down on our shoulders. It was then that we spotted her a lone figure sitting on a bench, her form barely visible in the dim light. She wore green tights that seemed to shimmer under the glow of the street lamps, and her dark hair fell in tangled waves around her shoulders. As we approached, she turned to look at us with piercing eyes that seemed to see into the depths of our souls. Despite the strange aura that surrounded her, we paid her little mind, dismissing her presence as inconsequential. After all, what harm could one lone girl in the park possibly do to a group of high school students out for a night of fun? We settled on a nearby bench, the mist swirling around us like a shroud as we chatted and laughed, oblivious to the danger that lurked in the shadows. But as the night wore on, a sense of unease settled over us, like a whisper of something sinister lurking just out of sight. The air grew colder, and a light breeze sent shivers down our spines as we huddled closer together for warmth. And then, as if on cue, the girl in the green tights rose from her seat and began to approach us, her movements slow and deliberate. With each step she took, the mist seemed to thicken around her, obscuring her form until she was nothing more than a shadowy figure looming in the darkness. And then, with a voice that sent chills down our spines, she spoke. She told us of the park's dark history, of the souls that had been lost to its depths, and of the curse that lingered over it like a pall. She spoke of restless spirits that roamed the night, seeking vengeance on those who dared to disturb their eternal slumber. We listened in horror as she spun her tale, the words echoing in our minds like a sinister mantra. And then, just as suddenly as she had appeared, she disappeared into the fog, leaving us with trembling in our hearts. We exchanged glances filled with inexpressible fear, not daring to move. Images of flickering shadows and incomprehensible sounds appeared in our imagination, and we felt how fear took possession of us all. But suddenly one of us decided to make fun of this strange story. Calling her girlfriend just another charlatan trying to scare us, he got up from the bench and decided to drive away the fear that had taken over us, walking towards the place where the mysterious girl had just been sitting. But as he approached the place from where she had disappeared, the wind suddenly began to howl, as if calling our friend to stop. We looked at him with concern, but he was stubborn and continued to walk, ignoring our warnings. When he reached the bench where the girl had previously been sitting, the fog became so thick that we could barely see his figure. And then we heard his scream, a piercing, horror-filled scream that made our hearts skip a beat. We instantly rushed to the scene of his scream, but when we arrived, our friend was missing. He simply wasn't there. We searched every corner of the park, shouted his name, but he remained missing. Fear and panic took hold of us all. We rushed to the exit of the park, not paying attention to the night cold that penetrated through our clothes. Our hearts beat in unison with our steps, and we felt like ominous shadows were chasing us on our heels. Desperation and fear gripped us as we fled the park, seeking safety. We knew that something sinister now roamed the dark corners of this place, and our friend was in its clutches, but we couldn't leave him without help. Arriving at the nearest police station, we were filled with hope for rescue. But when we told the officers about our friend's disappearance and what we had seen in the park, they simply laughed. They dismissed our words as nothing more than childish fantasy and refused to take it seriously. We were left defenseless and alone, battling against the dark force that held our friend captive. In desperation and fear, we decided we couldn't just sit and wait. We devised a plan and resolved to return to the park to try to find our friend again. Our hearts beat in unison as we walked the dark streets, returning to the place where we had lost him. Along the way, we encountered new horrors and mysteries. The voice of the girl we had heard in the park continued to haunt us, as if beckoning us to its source. We were bewildered and afraid, but we didn't consider backing down. And then, amidst the dense foliage and empty alleys, we fell into a trap. The ground beneath us vanished, and we found ourselves in another world, a world of horrors and nightmares, where every step was a test of our survival. Here, dark forces ruled, and we realized our friend might be in danger. We had to endure trials and tests to free our friend from the clutches of darkness. We were prepared to battle, despite all the horrors we knew we would encounter. And so began our journey through darkness and madness, in search of our friend and the truth, shrouded in secrets and fears. With each step, we drew closer to the heart of darkness, where our fate was unpredictable, but our determination was unyielding. Our adventure continued, and we were ready to face any trials to bring back our friend and save ourselves from the sinister grip of this dark world. As we continued our journey in this sinister world, we encountered various dangers and monsters that sought to hinder us. Our hearts beat in unison with each step, and we fought against fear to keep moving forward. Among the shadows and darkness, we saw various creatures emerging from their hiding places to make us their prey. They attacked us from the darkness, and we were forced to fight to defend ourselves and continue our search. But the most terrifying of them all was the girl in the green tights, who always seemed to be lurking in the distance, laughing and mocking us with her giggles. Her voice haunted us, filling our ears with threats and predictions of doom, and we knew we had to beware of her to avoid falling into her cunning traps. Despite her threats, we pressed on, focusing on our goal and steadfastly battling each monster that crossed our path. Our friendship and determination were our main weapons in this battle against evil, and we were prepared to go to the end to retrieve our friend and save ourselves from this nightmare world. With each battle, we grew stronger. With each obstacle, we found new strength in our friendship and resolve. We knew the path ahead would be difficult and dangerous, but we never doubted our ability to overcome all obstacles and return home with our friend, defeating evil and darkness along the way. When we finally located the place where our friend was being held captive, we found ourselves in front of an ancient and sinister stronghold. Its gloomy atmosphere carried a piercing sensation, as if the malevolent breath of hell itself permeated the air. Dark shadows, consuming the light, stretched from every pillar and wall, creating a mosaic of horror. Step by step, we approached the doors of this ominous bastion, our hearts beating in unison with the rhythm of battle. Every creak of the doors seemed like a harbinger of doom, every click of the lock a whisper of dark forces, drawing us into this realm of terror. As we entered, our feet froze in place, as if chained by the shackles of fear. Before us lay a grim labyrinth of dark corridors and flickering candles, as if leading us into the very depths of hell. The cold air seeped through our clothes, sending shivers down our spines, as if warning us of the imminent danger. Our eyes were fixed on every movement, every sound, as if we were trying to unravel the secrets of this place before they engulfed us. We continued to move forward, despite the ominous aura enveloping us, because we knew that only by doing so could we save our friend. Finally, we reached the place where our friend was held captive. His figure, radiant in its distress, seemed to us the greatest of all beacons piercing through this darkness. He was surrounded by darkness, his eyes radiating despair, but when he saw us, his face lit up with hope and joy. We approached him like angels summoned to save him from this infernal labyrinth. Our embrace served as a barrier between him and these dark forces trying to engulf him. We hugged him, as if restoring his strength and resolve, and together we were ready to face these monsters and leave this place defeated, but undeterred. As we decided to return, our path back proved to be much more convoluted and darker, as if we had entered a web of darkness that wouldn't allow us to find an exit. Our agony grew with every step, every turn, as if we were prisoners of this gloomy labyrinth with no end in sight. Suddenly, laughter and giggling began to fill the air, like a malicious melody playing on the notes of our fear. And then she appeared before us again, like a ghost emerging from the darkness, and we realized that our battle was far from over. Our fight with her was fierce and ruthless, her attacks swift and unexpected, like lightning strikes in the dark of night. We parried her blows, fighting with every breath, as if demons trying to steal our souls. But she was strong, stronger than we could have imagined. Our strength waned, our thoughts became clouded with exhaustion, but we did not give up. We continued to fight, putting all our determination and courage into every strike. In the end, we discovered a weapon capable of resisting her power. We took it in our hands, our fingers gripping the handle tightly, preparing for the final decisive attack. Our hearts beat in unison with every moment, every blow, like a hammer ready to shatter this darkness into pieces. We fought like lions, our roar filling the air, and we were ready to battle this darkness to the very end. Our attack was precise and coordinated, like a dance of swirling swords, and we did not stop until we had overcome this ominous force threatening us and our friend. As our strikes grew more desperate and brutal, we began to realize that our struggle was futile in this dark world. Our efforts seemed futile against a force that was too great for us. Suddenly, amidst the battle, the voice of our grandfather reached us, reminding us of our bravery and resolve. He spoke words of wisdom and moral guidance that sounded like a thread of hope in our despair. These words filled us with strength and determination, and we gathered together, united in spirit, ready to fight to the end. At that moment, something invisible filled us, like rays of light piercing our bodies, and we felt something grand awakening within us. Our cries echoed through the darkness, like the rumble of thunder, and we delivered the decisive blow, like lightning tearing through the darkness. Light enveloped us, and we found ourselves back in the park, in the same place where our night of horrors began. The morning rays of the sun surrounded us, bringing warmth and light, and we realized that our struggle had been victorious. We looked at each other with smiles on our faces, filled with joy and relief, and in that moment, we felt that nothing could break our friendship and the power of unity. Laughter and joy filled us, and we embraced each other, knowing that by overcoming these trials together, we had become stronger and closer. Our night of horrors had ended, but instead of darkness and fear, we had found light and hope, and we knew that adversity had only strengthened our bond and friendship forever.